So, we talked about high amplitude stuff in the last video, about doing bubbles and how we needed a lot of amplitude. Well, this is a pretty damn big subwoofer. So, this is an Ultimax subwoofer by Dayton. They posted this kit, and I bought it. This is a dual coil, 2 ohm per coil, 1,500 watts per coil subwoofer with an excursion limit of 2 inches. And this has a fiberglass cone on it, very rigid. In the demo, you can literally stab this with a screwdriver and be fine, because this is fiberglass. So I'm not all that worried about it getting either wet or blown up. The biggest concern with using this is amplitude and shaking the house apart and things rattling apart inside the house. At an old fraternity house I was at, we had an issue where the paint was starting to come off the walls, not because it was old paint, but because the plaster behind it was delaminating from the boards. So we would get these little slivers, because whoever did the paint there, or whoever did the plaster back in the day, did super thin. So I basically destroyed an entire house with using 2 speakers with a displacement of about 600 square inches. This has about 200 square inches, or 100 and... if you add in the Bravo, it's about 200. But basically how you determine the effective displacement, how many liters of air you're displacing, is you take the area of this, and then you calculate how much distance you're moving. And one method I've used in the past was looking at the side of it and determining how far it goes. You can do that by sticking a ruler, and with good lighting and some patience you can determine how much air you're moving, which isn't something a lot of people do, especially in the musical community, because it's like, oh, my kick drum moves that much for a quarter of a second, or for a quarter of a tiny second. That's the thing with a lot of sounds, they're very impulsive. So in some of the musical content that you'll see on the channel, you'll notice that whenever the bass drum hits, it's just like whoop, 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 and the whole thing just goes wild. In terms of musical cymatics, that's our biggest limiting factor. But in terms of bubble cymatics, that's actually a big benefit to us, because having that impulse in music means that we don't have to play it for hours, or we don't have to play it for minutes on end. And when you're playing something like 20 hertz at a displacement of like a liter of air per cycle, that's a lot. Like, let's, for argument's sake, let's say this displaces one square foot and we move it an inch. That is 144 cubic inches that we just moved of air. That has to go somewhere. So what happens is everything in the house has to then expand and contract. And when you're doing that at high amplitude, or when you're doing that, it can be disruptive to things, because you're literally pressurizing and depressurizing, and anything in the way of that is going to get destroyed if you're not careful. Now I'm talking kind of harshly on this right now. The destruction of things with sound is very difficult, You know, we need many of these to really adequately destroy a house in, well, really, you can always come up with a scenario where something will do another thing. So we're just going to leave it at that and say, how do you create bubbles? How do you create the solution for bubbles? So there's a few schools that you can go down, or a few different avenues that you can go down. You can go with pre-made bubble solution. That's excellent. It's pre-mixed. It's non-toxic. It just works. You can also go with more exotic bubble recipes if you wanted to create your own and experiment a little, or have it be more repeatable than someone in a factory. That's really not the case, but if you want exotic properties like, for instance, there's a special bubble solution that they use in the trades called Big Blue. It's used to find leaks, and Big Blue has this amazing property of seeing air bubbles come out, and that's something that we're going to try in the future because it's super viscous, and its whole job is to facilitate large bubbles, or to facilitate the seeking of gas, and for it to be on thin layers of things and to have those bubbles exist on there for some time. So that's something that we're going to be doing in the near future. We just have to find the time when the neighbors aren't home. So yeah, we'll leave you with that. Please like and subscribe. If you know anybody that's interested in this or wants to contribute to the projects at hand, please let me know in the comments below. I read all of your comments. Right now, there's like 6 comments on the whole channel, so I can say without a doubt I've read all the comments. So, with that, have a good day.